Welcome to our Backyard Brothers podcast. We have a lot to cover today, um, and we're throwing it back. If you all remember, pardon the interruption, with Mike Wilbon and whatever the old white guy's name was. I can't remember his name, but anyway, they did their format was set up in a minute and a half segments, or maybe it was 2.5 minutes. I can't remember now. But anyway, that's the format we're going to take today. And we're going to see how it works. So bear with us as we figure out a very kind of truncated format here. So we're going to.
Tony Kornheiser.
That's his name, Tony. Yeah. Tony and Mike. Yeah. Um, okay. So first, we are talking about NBA overreactions from the first week. We've done it both for college football and NBA. So let's talk about some NBA overreactions from a week and a half-ish, almost 2 weeks, of what it looks like. I will start, if you don't mind, by one thing. Remember, we said that Ja Morant being out for the Memphis Grizzlies, it'd be kind of a struggle for those 25 games. We were hoping that maybe for the Grizzlies' sake that they could go 500 during that time. They're not going to go 500 during that time. They are 0-6. They haven't won a single game yet. So they're in trouble without Ja Morant. Maybe they get back Ja Morant when they're 4-21 or whatever. That's a really difficult thing to come back from. So yeah, my overreaction is the Memphis Grizzlies are in trouble, and it's all Ja Morant's fault.
Good. I don't think Ja Morant is the savior of the Grizzlies. I think you can put that all on his shoulders. My overreaction is with the Spurs, specifically with Wembanyama. Yep. He is playing fantastic. Wemby is absolutely playing fantastic. I mean, he's putting up 30 points a game. In several games, he scored more than 30 points. Offensively, he's living up to the hype, absolutely. And the Spurs are 3-2, doing really well. Defensively, he's struggling like we thought that he would. But offensively, he's absolutely living up to the hype. So my overreaction is maybe I was wrong about him. Maybe he is going to be one of the next great stars of the NBA if he can stay healthy and keep this offensive production up, and then also learn how to play defense at the NBA level. There's my overreaction, is Victor Wembanyama is living up to the hype.
Absolutely.
I like that. I see a lot of stuff about him, and so he is living up to the hype right now. I think my overreaction is actually with the Phoenix Suns right now. Last year they did really good. They got deep into the playoffs, and then this year I look at it, they're not even in the top 10 right now. They're number 12, I think they are 12, I think, and they're 2-3. And that's just kind of surprising to me. I look at that and I'm like, what's going on there? What's happening? And that's kind of an overreaction. Like, the Suns are. They had one. I guess I don't know how many great runs they had, but they had one great season last year, and now they're gonna tank. And as it sits right now, they're already looking on the to the inside from the outside. So
yeah, I think we kind of thought it could take a while for a brand new team literally to gel together. Like there's 10 of the 15 players there are brand new to that team, and a new coach too. And so yeah, I think, but that's fair to say. Any other quick ones? I'll say the Nuggets are the best team in basketball still, even though there's one undefeated team right now, and that's the Boston Celtics still. But they're 4-0. The Nuggets have lost a game, but Nuggets are still the best team in basketball.
That's a absolutely reasonable reaction. I agree. One more that I'll give is the Miami Heat. Similar to what you said about the Suns, this was a team that made it to the finals last year, and right now they're 2-4. and they're losing games that they shouldn't lose. They're struggling to figure it out, and this is not a new team. They've returned a lot of players. They've lost some, but this is a team that should have been able to figure it out and haven't.
Yep. Okay, we're staying with the NBA for a second, and we're going to talk about. Am I right in my order? The James Harden trade. And I say James Harden. There are a lot of players involved, but obviously James Harden was the big superstar that was involved in that one. He finally got his wish. Remember back, I don't know, beginning of the offseason, he says, "I want to be traded, and I want to be traded to the Los Angeles Clippers." That's what he told Philly, and Philly's like, "All right, good for you," and kind of kept it going. But then James Harden doesn't show up to off-season practices. He badmouths the owner of the 76ers, who was the owner of the Rockets while he was there too. So a long time relationship there, but just pretty much behaves like a 6-year-old, and finally gets his wish, and maybe other players' wishes on the 76ers wanted him gone too. But they trade him and PJ Tucker to the Clippers and bring over half the team, right? I can't remember all the players that are involved with the Clippers, but what's the reaction there?
So I can go first. So yeah, I think the Sixers win the trade. Not only do they offload Harden, but so the players they got were Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, and several draft picks. These are all players who have made their career as a role player in getting points off of the bench, which is exactly what the 76ers need. They know that you got Embiid who's going to put up 30 points a game, who's going to own the game every game, and then what you need is role players to support him and bench players, and so they absolutely got that. With the Clippers, real quick, is I sent you guys a meme that says the Clippers are now poised to win the 2014 championship, which is 10 years ago these were the 4 best players in the league.
Yeah.
And so this is an aging team, and we've talked about the struggles of the Clippers before. I don't see how this should change any expectations for the Clippers at all.
Yeah. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you completely. I think my reaction is actually stuck on a quote that I heard from James Harden that bothers me a lot. He says that I am not a system player, I am the system. And that I hate that. Basketball is a team game. We know that. LeBron James knows that. Everyone knows that, or should know that. Maybe except for Kevin Garnett.
Durant.
Kevin Durant, and some others. But that really, really bothered me. When he was in his prime, perhaps he was the system, and he could say that. But he's what almost mid-30s now, at least I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not the system anymore, and that really bothers me. And that kind of attitude is going to be the downfall of the Clippers, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely was the system in Houston. You can say that, but uh, you're coming into a team now where you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook on the team as well. And what's going to happen when James Harden realizes that, oh, I'm not the number one option on this team. I want to be traded. That's what's going to happen. But I don't know. And to answer the idea of this is the favorite to win the championship, I answered something online to that, and I was like, I think the question was, tell me why this is not the number one. And I said, because those 4 will play together on the court for 7 games. That's why. And this just and they won't miss the same games. They'll one will be out here, one will be out there, and like we've said, I think we all predicted the Clippers to land outside of the top 10 in the West. You could convince me that they could end up in the play-in game, but I don't know. Okay, next item. We're going to talk about college basketball for a second. College basketball starting up this month. The tip-off is pretty close here. So let's talk real quick about some of the top teams maybe in college basketball. Can we go back to is Connecticut the UConn a team that's going to repeat? What about the smaller teams like San Diego State that made it all the way up there? Um, who are the ones to look out for, or are we just looking at blue bloods again of Kansas, Duke, and Kentucky?
Yeah, I can go first. So yeah, UConn did have some great recruiting. They are able to bring in a 5-star. And so they're poised to have a successful season. But my favorites to do it is definitely with Duke. I know it's a blue blood, but they had an almost all freshman team last year, and they returned most of them. That and so I think that they're poised with also adding several 5-stars. I think that they're poised to make a really good run.
And I think they just added the number one high school recruit
Yeah, for next.
onto their team. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of it's a changing of the guard. Obviously, Coach K is no longer there. He hasn't been there for 3 years now, maybe. But yeah, Duke is always going to be a favorite, and that's the team to look out for, I think. Uh, I got to stick with UConn and say that they're going to be up there too.
I mean, yeah, I'd stick with a lot of the blue bloods, but if I go a different route and say not a blue blood, I'm gonna say FAU continues that resurgence like they did last year, Florida Atlantic. They seem to. I was looking at the roster, and they have some freshmen, of course, but they also have a lot of their juniors and seniors and sophomores on that team still. So I think they have a lot of that talent. So the blue bloods are always there; they always will be. But I think FAU this year has another good chance to get through.
All right. Anything else we want to mention about NCAA basketball? It's hard to say a lot right now just because it's madness, as it's called. And so things change daily. And then you get to the tournament and things change by the minute, literally. So it's hard to say, but anything else we want to add there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
We're changing tone a little bit and heading to the NFL. Let's trade deadline was a Halloween, and so a lot of different trades happened. We're each going to talk about a couple of them. We'll mention some others, but so kind of kept this. Our favorite teams, all three of our favorite teams had trades involved, and so we'll talk about those. 49ers had two of them. One of them wasn't on the trade deadline. One of them was a couple weeks ago, where the Broncos sent Randy Gregory to the 49ers, an edge rusher who's had some ups and downs in his career where he's been out with substance abuse and things like that. But he joins the 49ers and he's already proven his worth. I think he has 2 sacks already with the Niners. And so adding him opposite of Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave was really big. And then trade deadline day, Halloween, the Commanders sent Chase Young, the former, was he the top pick? Or was he second overall pick? I can't remember now.
Second.
But, sent him over to the 49ers as well. So the 49ers defensive line is going to include Eric Armstead, who has 3 sacks already this season as an interior pass rusher, Joey Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Chase Young, Randy Gregory, and that's a defensive line. If all are healthy and all are playing, that you don't want to go against if you're any team. That's a really tough defensive line. That defense has had some struggles so far, but adding those kind of players is going to be big.
I'll go next. Just as a quick, I guess offshoot of off of yours there. My only question mark would be Chase Young with his health. Is he going to be able to stay on the field? Is he going to be able to be productive? Because he hasn't been what I expected out of the gate. So that's something that to keep an eye on. For me, the biggest one is that Giants sent over Leonard Williams to the Seahawks, and that the Giants are keeping most of that cap hit, and that they're paying pretty much all of that off. And so Seattle's paying, I think, like 800,000 or something of his salary, which is an amazing deal. He's a Pro Bowler, I think multiple time Pro Bowler even, and adds a lot of, I guess you could say, just oomph to that interior defensive line, defensive tackle kind of deal, and so to kind of help stop that or help boost the rush defense. And so that's really exciting. I think that's going to help the Seattle defense out a lot. They have a really good defense so far this year. It ranks pretty high in the league, so that should help them out a lot. In other news, there's also very well-known safety. Everyone knows him, Kevin Byard, playing for the Titans for a while. Great safety. He just got traded to the Eagles. And so he's going to make an immediate impact, I think, on that. And he's kind of replacing Gardner Johnson in a way, if you will.
He was traded for Terrell Edmonds. So that's technically a two-person trade. The Eagles grabbed Edmonds from the Steelers last offseason, and then they traded him. So that's just a swap of teams, a swap of safeties there.
Gotcha. So that should be exciting. The Eagles are already playing amazing. I think they're still the only one-loss team in the league. I might be incorrect about that. But so that's going to help their defense out as well. So that's just another thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, to quickly respond to both of yours. So with the 49ers, the last few games they've struggled offensively. And so I think trying to put a little more strength on their defense to relieve the pressure of the offense to put up, 20 or 30 points, I think is going to be a good help. Seahawks, this is going to be a good help to their run defense, especially. I think that's kind of what they wanted to do was plug the middle for run defense, and then the Eagles. I didn't see a need for help in the secondary, but I'm glad that they got it. That'll be good. And then two that I wanted to talk about was with the Chiefs getting McCall Hardman from the Jets. The Chiefs have struggled with their receiving core, so I think bringing back somebody, right? He's been on the team. He's won the Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl with them. Bring back somebody who's familiar with the system that has a little more trust in him. I think that should just be a good bonus, a good help to the team. Hopefully, can get them back. And then the big one is Joshua Dobbs, the Cardinals quarterback, is sent to the Vikings. I have no idea who's going to play quarterback of the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray may be coming back after a week. But
they named Clayton Tune the starter for this week. So the rookie draft pick out of Houston is going to start this week. But yeah, Kyler Murray's on the active roster. He's working his way right back. So maybe in a week or two he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and so with Kirk Cousins going down, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, Vikings needed a quarterback, and the Cardinals be like, "Yeah, sure, we're tanking. We'll give you ours."
Yep. I think all those trades. There's several others. The Commanders kind of cleaned house defensively. They also sent Montez Sweat, their other great defensive end. I'm trying to remember where he went, but Bears, I think, Chicago. Yeah. Let's see. There are a couple others. Donovan Peoples-Jones, the receiver from the Browns, goes to the Lions to strengthen their receiving core. And there were a few weeks back where J.C. Jackson was sent back to the Patriots from the Chargers. He excelled with the Patriots, and now he's back there. Ezra Cleveland, offensive guard for the Vikings, who are cleaning house as well, sent over to Jacksonville. And Rasul Douglas, great slot corner for the Packers, was just sent over to Buffalo, Buffalo is struggling with injuries on their back end, and so that's a good addition there. Okay, Dustin, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. Let's talk some injuries. We may only talk about one because it's a big one. But Kirk Cousins torn Achilles, will miss the rest of the season. There's more to that, but let's just talk about what the Vikings are going to do at quarterback. Obviously, they trade for Joshua Dobbs. They're going to start their rookie, Jaron Hall out of BYU, is going to start this week. But maybe it's Joshua Dobbs for the future. Maybe it's their practice squad quarterback. Maybe it's the guy that's on IR that'll return in a couple weeks. So what are the Vikings going to do? How bad news is this for the Vikings?
So obviously they don't have JJ either. They don't have Justin Jefferson. Don't know when he's expected to come back. His was a hamstring issue, which is just difficult to recover from.
He's on IR for one more week at least. So
yeah. So and their offense has struggled. Even when both Cousins and Jefferson were there, they struggled. That was a turnover issue. So the Vikings. This is obviously. I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's great, but Joshua Dobbs, I thought was playing really well in Arizona, and that may have been a system. So for him to learn a whole new system in a couple of weeks and try to play well, it's a tall task. It's difficult. So if they can simplify the playbook, then maybe they'll be able to keep putting up some good points on the offensive side. At least I hope they can. I like the Vikings. But this is definitely a step back for offense for them. And I'm just sad to see that Cousins has what has been a career-ending injury in the past, right? So we'll see how that goes. And it's the second Achilles tear of the season with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Just to add to that, first thing I want to say is, Joshua Dobbs has been playing really good. I've been impressed with him. He gives me kind of like Geno Smith vibes. Someone who wasn't great but kind of comes in and starts exceeding expectations. He could be doing the system kind of deal. So I am kind of curious to see what he does in Minnesota. But for a team that had high expectations, coming from just out of the boot, they're sitting at 4-4 right now, and that was before he tore his Achilles. And so, if I was a Vikings fan, I've kind of lost hope right now, to be honest. JJ's out, Kirk Cousins out for the rest of the season. We're getting Joshua Dobbs. We don't know how he's going to do. That kind of mentality, and you're sitting at 500. And so, with my expectation of them finishing second in the division originally, now it's like they might finish last. We'll see what happens. Throughout the rest of the season. That's giving a lot of props to the Chicago Bears, but yeah, if I was a Vikings fan right now, I'd be devastated. That's just the best way I can say it.
A couple of things. You mentioned Joshua Dobbs coming in and learning in a new system. Remember when he signed with the Cardinals very late. I think he had 10 days to learn Arizona's system before starting week 1. And so he could do the same thing in Minnesota. He's obviously been able to learn a system pretty quickly with Arizona, and now he could learn it quickly with Minnesota too. He won't start on Sunday tomorrow, but he has a week to learn. And also, remember the Vikings started 0-3, and now they're 4-4. So I don't lose hope. They're in the playoff picture right now. Obviously losing Cousins and however long Jefferson takes to come back, but I don't lose hope at all. But there's another piece to talk about this, and you mentioned whether Kirk Cousins can come back from an Achilles injury at 35. I think how old he is. Obviously, Rodgers is working toward that at 39, but so there's that element, but there's also the element that Kirk Cousins was playing on the last year of his contract. It sucks for him because he was having a great year, stats wise, at least. And at this point, there's almost no hope for him to be re-signed by the Vikings after this Achilles injury. And so hopefully he makes a complete comeback, but he's probably playing somewhere else if he does next season. Sucks for him and maybe for the Vikings, because I don't think there's going to be much better option out there than Kirk Cousins. But
yeah.
Anything else of injuries out there? I think there's a couple others, but not to the level.
I guess just real quick, the one that I'm aware of is Uchenna Nwosu with the Seahawks. One of their best pass rushers is out for the rest of the season, having a season-ending surgery. I don't remember on what, but that's a big loss to the Seahawks, and I think that's probably one reason why they wanted to get Leonard Williams, just kind of boost that defensive line, although they're different positions. But that's a big loss for the Seahawks.
That reminded me of one. Justin Fields over in Chicago. What a horrible time to have an injury at this point, because the Bears are needing to evaluate Justin Fields for the future. If he's not playing well this season, then it's starting over next year with the Williams or whoever they're going to get with number 1 pick. And so it's a bad time for both Fields to not prove himself because he was starting to play better before the injury, and for the Bears themselves to not be able to say it. I wonder if if his agent is saying you should stay injured a little bit longer because you don't want to have the Bears have more ammunition to go somewhere else. That is just a thought, but Tyson Bagent is not the answer. But I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just
I would say that, yeah, this is actually probably good news for Justin Fields to give him a little bit of time to then come, if the Bears are going to lose 3 in a row and then he comes back and is able to win a couple games, so, see, I do provide value. Keep me around, pay me. And so while it's never a good thing to not play when that's your job, it may be good to try to add a little patience to the GM and the owners.
What did happen to Justin Fields? I'm not sure if I'm aware of it. It's not season ending, is it?
No, he dislocated his thumb, I think, on his throwing hand, and so it has to wait till he can't throw right now. So
Okay.
He could throw before?
well, he can throw less right now. Or yeah. Any other injuries that you're thinking of right now? Okay.
Nope.
Moving on to, we've seen some benchings. One was Joshua Dobbs. He was they mentioned in Arizona that they were going to sit him down and start Clayton Tune before Dobbs was traded. So that, and Dobbs is probably going to be the starter in Minnesota. I don't think Jaron Hall is ready for it, but anyway, there was that one. Another big one and was Desmond Ridder over in Atlanta. He has struggled all season with turnovers and with he did have a couple 300-yard games, but it was coupled with 2 or 3 turnovers in each game too. And so they finally he was injured a little bit last week, but Arthur Smith has made the announcement that they're starting Taylor Heineke the rest of the way.
Which I think is a good decision. In my opinion, Taylor Heineke is a winner. He's really good. He's similar to me. He's similar to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's really good.
Which
He, we could talk about that as well, but to me he's a little similar to him. That I just remember that whenever he came in to cover for Carson Wentz, is he would be able to. He took the Commanders for a long stretch, even in I think even into the playoffs a little bit, won a game for them. I like Taylor Heineke, and I would trust him as my backup QB.
now you're having to trust him as your starter, though. So
I would be able to do that. I think I would be able to trust him.
Yeah, so we've talked about Heineke in the past and have all praised him, but we also know that he's not a top tier quarterback. That he's not a winner. He's I think when we were praising him when he was with the Commanders, they were around 500, maybe less, right? It was kind of like, oh yeah, he's doing great. So Cody, you said you like Taylor Heineke. Who I do not like is Arthur Smith. I think he's an idiot. He benched Mariota last year. He's changed quarterbacks mid-season both years.
Yeah.
And I think it's because Arthur Smith he's a run game kind of guy, so he's gonna hand it off twice. All of a sudden it's 3rd and 8, and he says, "Okay, quarterback, go get me a first down." And it's 3rd and 8. The defense knows exactly what you're gonna do. He knows you're gonna do a rollout to the right. They know that they're gonna defend it. And you're putting your quarterback in a terrible position. And Arthur Smith throws his hands up and says, "What's wrong with my quarterback? Can't get me a first down when the defense knows exactly what I'm going to do." Yeah. And so I think that Arthur Smith has set up his quarterbacks not to succeed and then blames them and benches them. And so I think Arthur Smith is an idiot.
Yeah, and we talked about it back in our season preview, but Arthur Smith hasn't done his quarterback any favors by not giving him any weapons either. Kyle Pitts is there, and he's playing really well this year. That's it, though. Drake London is he shows up for a game or 2 here and then is gone for another 2 or 3 games, and that's all they have is Kyle Pitts. And so they have a lot in the running game. That's what they're leaning And obviously that's where they should when they have 3 starting caliber running backs. Although Cordero Patterson is having his worst season ever, and so it's really the other two. And so yeah, the best news for the Falcons is that they're playing in the division that they're playing in the NFC South, and they currently lead that division. So who knows? It is the worst division in football by a mile and a half. But so that's the best news for the Falcons. You mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's talk about that. He's been benched too, and we'll talk about the reason why. And actually, let's just bunch them together. So, the Raiders fire Josh McDaniels. This is the second time in Josh McDaniels' career that he's survived less than 2 seasons. He's been fired midway through his second season, both with Denver and now with Las Vegas. And Antonio Pierce is the new interim head coach there, and they decide to completely change things around. Jimmy Garoppolo will be benched the rest of the season. It's going to be Aiden O'Connell, the rookie 4th-round pick, that's starting from here on out. I have no idea what to say about that yet. Give me a few minutes, so you guys go ahead. So.
You first, Dustin.
All right. Let's see. So, sorry, I'm bringing up some stats here. There we go. So, with the the firing of Josh McDaniels and the firing of GM. Who is the GM again? Was it?
I can't remember his name. It's Z. Starts with a Z. I thought.
So yeah, everybody knows the Raiders are underperforming on expectations. But the thing I have to say about it is, after almost every single game, Davante Adams has very publicly said, "Listen, if you want to win games, get me the ball." He says, "I need to be throwing the ball 15 times, and if I do, I'm going to be scoring you touchdowns, and I'm going to be winning games." Right? There's only been I think 1 game where he got that many catches, and they lost that game. It was against the Steelers. He got 13 catches, had a couple touchdowns. They ended up losing that game anyway, right? But to his point, the other games, there's been several games where he's had 2 catches, 1 catch, 4 catches, things like that, where they're just not targeting him, not getting him the ball. And that's obviously a strategy that's just, that Davante Adams has potential to be the best player in the league. You got to get him the ball, and they haven't. And so I don't know if that's going to change at all. I don't know why. Hopefully it would, but that's what needs to change, is get him the ball, and hopefully it wins games.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a whole lot more to add to that, but to me, it should be obvious that if you have one of the best players in the league, you just get him the ball. That should be common sense. Now there could be, I don't know, there could be other reasons why he's not getting the ball, offensive line or just play calling in general. But in the end, it's on Aiden O'Connell now. And I don't remember him playing much in the preseason, so I don't remember how he did. I think he did okay though. And so I think at this point, the Raiders are just kind of like, all right, well, here's our best bet. Let's see what happens, and I don't know what to expect. But if you're a Raiders fan, it's not. I don't think you have a lot of high expectations.
Yeah, I'm trying to put all my thoughts together here. But so first of all, Josh McDaniels had lost his locker room for the second time in his career. He lost it in Denver, and he's lost it here in Las Vegas as well. And that's the main reason that he was fired, is because he couldn't hold that locker room. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo leads the NFL in interceptions currently, and he's missed 2 games. So that's a big problem. In San Francisco, he did not turn the ball over, but it's becoming clear that San Francisco's offense is set up to allow a quarterback to throw safely and not turn the ball over. That's what Brock Purdy has been doing until recently, where he's been throwing a lot more into coverage and trying to make big plays. But San Francisco is a system that really helps quarterbacks. Las Vegas didn't have that system, and Jimmy Garoppolo has been intercepted a whole lot. But I gotta think that Jimmy G still gives me the best chance to win if I'm the Las Vegas, not Aiden O'Connell. So I would still start Jimmy G if I were, but it's a new regime there, and Antonio Pierce. And you said if you have the best player, you should give him the ball. Josh Jacobs is supposed to be the best player, one of the best players, the best player on that team, and he is like has a 2 yard per carry average right now. I think it's a lot of an offensive line issue right now in Las Vegas. Yeah. Okay. Any other benchings that we want to talk about? And Dave Ziegler was his name. I was right with a Z. I couldn't remember his. That was fired, by the way. Any other benchings or things like that are out there? I feel like there's another couple, but um,
Can't think of any right now.
um, yeah. So whoops. What else do we want to talk about in 2 minutes?
I guess one potential benching. So a couple of weeks ago, the Patriots got absolutely blown up by, let's see, maybe it's the Dolphins, I think. And they put Bailey Zappi in for the second half, right? And he, of course, didn't be better. And then Mac Jones came in and destroyed the Bills, beat the Bills, right? And so is there any thought there? Do you think Zappi's going to play again?
Zappy won't play again. No, I think I said from the very beginning of the preview that this is Mac Jones' disaster train ride to ride out. They're gonna keep Mac Jones until the wheels run off of them.
I agree.
I don't think we have much more time, so I think that covered a lot of ground pretty quickly. We will meet again next week. I think we're talking a little bit about NHL. By the way, Texas Rangers win the World Series. Need to mention that in 5 games. They pretty much wiped the floor there. So congratulations to Texas.